So Colorado Bend State Park is where my husband and I went a couple of weeks ago. Sorry for taking so long to get this video out. I was working on that intro that you saw just a couple minutes ago. Hope y'all like it. I downloaded Adobe After Effects and got a template and put it together, taught myself how to put that together. So hopefully one of these days I'll actually learn Adobe After Effects instead of buying templates, but for now, that'll work. So camping at Colorado Bend State Park. The first thing that you should know is that there is no cell phone service. There is no cell phone service most places in the park, definitely not at the campgrounds. And speaking of campgrounds, we had campsite number 2, which was a nice campsite, but I think we got the only site in the park without any shade. This was definitely not a primitive campsite. I don't know anything about those, so I can't speak for those. But we had a site that was a walk-in site and it was on the river. Very beautiful site, but the only one without shade. So campsites 3, 4, 5, 1, they all had shade around us, but ours did not, which is okay. We brought a canopy, but next time I think that we would stay at campsite 4 because it had shade and it had river access right there. And I think that after scoping it out, that's probably the best one to stay in. It was a very full campground. All of the spots were taken. The places were very close together, but it was still a nice place to go and visit. On our second day there, we went hiking at Gorman Falls, and let me tell you guys, this is beautiful. I thought for a minute that I was in Hawaii, not in Texas. There is a beautiful waterfall at the end of this hike, and it is so rewarding and so worth venturing out to. It is a difficult hike. There are multiple warning signs as you go along the path of this hike, especially at the beginning, saying, did you bring enough water? Did you bring a map? The trail is very hot, very little shade. Do you know what you're doing? So needless to say, it was a little intimidating as we first started out on this hike, and you see all these signs warning you that if you're not prepared, you need to go back. But it was a really good hike. It's 3 miles in and back, and the hike is relatively simple at first. But once you get to the last quarter of a mile, it's going to be tough. There is a cable that is strung down so that you can hold on to it as you go down and back up because the rocks are that steep. They had a couple of people there that had dogs or had kids on their backs, and I know that they had a really tough time getting down and up and getting their dogs back down and up. So I'm not sure I would recommend it for little small kids, but it was worth it for sure. It's 340 foot elevation. The really nice thing about this is that even though you cannot touch the waterfalls, you cannot get to the waterfalls as far as swimming, you can only look at them, there is the Colorado River right across from the waterfalls. So halfway through our hike, we got to jump into the Colorado River, cool off, relax, swim around a little bit after we had seen the beautiful waterfalls, get out, kind of air dry off, and go back and hike the hike back, which is really nice considering that those rocks that you just climbed down, you now have to climb back up. There's a cave system in Colorado Bend State Park that I hear is like 400 caves, underground caves and tunnels that you can go through. These do require a guide, so we did not get to go see them. They were closed because of the COVID, but from what I have seen and what I have researched online, I would highly recommend going on a cave tour, and that is one thing that is on our list to go back and do. So if you're gonna book a cave tour, they have 3 tours available. The first one is a beginner tour, and it is called the Discovery Tour. The second one is an intermediate tour, and it is called the Adventurer. And the third one is a more advanced, and it is for climbers. Now I hear that the third one, you have to do a lot of crawling, a lot of squeezing in and out of walls, so I might wait on that one. And if you have little kids, you probably want to go on the beginner or the Discovery Tour. Now as you're driving up to Colorado Bend State Park, I don't know which way you're coming from, but you will eventually hit a town called Bend. Bend does not have a gas station in the town, so I highly suggest that you make sure you have enough gas to either get back to the town or you get it before you get into Bend. Bend does have a small little general store. It's got some knickknacks, camping supplies, little bit of camping supplies, fishing supplies, and things you would find at a convenience store. They also have a food truck with hamburgers that were featured in Texas Monthly, and their hamburgers and fries were pretty good. They've got a little sitting area out there that you can sit and eat and chat with people. They have live music. Overall, very small town feel, which is to be expected since I think there's about a couple hundred people in the town. Now, the state park does have a store where you can get ice and firewood and rent kayaks. However, it was closed also due to COVID, but I'm hoping it opens back up pretty soon because renting a kayak on the Colorado River would be a lot of fun. Our campsite was actually just a few steps from the river, and we could go down and jump in the river about 10 feet out. It gets really, really deep. We could not find the bottom or touch the bottom, even going down underneath and trying. So I don't know how deep it is. It was really warm except for near the bottom, and it was actually so hot outside that we were trying to kick our feet and stir up some of that colder water to cool off a little bit. As for wildlife, we saw deer, we saw fireflies, and cows. We saw lots of cows because as you're coming up to Colorado Bend, there is some private land that you have to drive through. And it is private land. It does say that you need to enjoy the scenery from your car and not get out of your car because they don't want you walking on their land. But they have a lot of cows, a lot of baby cows, if that kind of thing interests you. As for the park itself, the deer were coming right up to our tent, and they were little deer, little white-tailed deer. We heard lots of frogs, we saw lots of fish jump, but that's about it for the wildlife that we saw that day. Now, we did have plans to hike the Spicewood Trail the following day. However, because of the heat, it was only supposed to get down that night a low of 79. We decided that we were going to come back and do that another time, maybe in the fall or the winter or the early spring when it wasn't quite so hot. So that is it for Colorado Bend State Park. Hope you all enjoyed it. Hope you all enjoy the video that's coming up and the pictures that we took. Hit that like button below the video. Hit subscribe if you want to see more videos that talk about Texas state parks, the tips, the tricks, and everything that we learned, and join on our journey with us. And feel free to comment below and tell me all about your journey and your experiences with this park.